Welcome to the worst of the best podcast. You wanted the best. Well, they didn't freaking make it. So here's what you get. From Canada, Ryan and
Jason. Welcome to another episode of the Worst of the Best podcast. I'm your host, and with me today, of course, is Jason, my brother. I'm Ryan, if anyone's tracking or cares. Jason, how
is anyone even listening?
No one listens. Nobody watches us, but yet we continue. We continue the journey. To those few and proud that we have, I just want to say thank you. And not just our mom. It's not just our mom. I do have friends from work that listen. So there you go, Jay. There's people that there's actually one of the highest compliments I got was from my friend. His name is Jason. And unless it's you pretending to be him, but I don't think so.
I'm not very good. My imagination is pretty poor. So
yeah,
it could have been me.
Yeah, he said it's like one of his favorite shows. I've got that from a few people. It's like one of their favorite shows that they listen to podcasts. They listen to a variety of podcasts and they truly enjoy ours, which I find hard to believe, but I don't think he's lying to me. He had no reason to say that. So thank you. Thank you to everyone that enjoys our show. Again, if you want to send us an email, check out the show notes for the email address. Please rate us on iTunes or Spotify or whatever you listen to. We would appreciate that. Obviously, a 5-star rating is what we'd hope for, but if you want to give us lower. All right. So today's topic, Jason and listeners, is simple things that play tricks on your brain. Now, it goes without saying, of course, Jason, that we've heard that term. It's a trick of the brain, or what did I see there? Or what's going on here? So we're going to give you 10 things that play tricks on the brain. Sometimes, Jason, our minds can get all mixed up over simple stuff. It's like a little glitch in our biology. This mix-up can make us see the wrong colors, eat too much, or look shifty when we're talking. We're going to talk about those things. Other times, there's no clear reason for why our minds play tricks on us. Science is still trying to figure it out. The brain is a fascinating field. It's amazing with Jay, with all our technology and everything that we understand about the brain, we still don't understand everything about the brain. Do you find that a little bit fascinating? I don't know. I do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the brain is everything. Like if you think about the brain in your head, it does everything.
It is your life.
It is your life. And we're still learning.
Yeah.
So, Jason, we're going to talk about things. So it's like the brain is having hiccups. And it is pretty fascinating, the world of oddities that happen up there in that little noggin of ours. I do find the brain fascinating. Of all the sciences or formal studies, I always found behavior, brain, perception, that kind of stuff. I've always been fascinated by the world and that is processed through this computer in our head. So this one, I think is fun. Jay is number 10. It's called the food variety effect. Now, before I go into it, Jay, if I were to ask you before our research what the food variety effect was, would you even know what this is?
I think I know, but
yeah, I'm the same way. Before our research, when I heard of this term, I wasn't sure what it meant, but I think it's really cool. This is what this is. Okay. Christmas is around the corner. We're recording this right now in November. And of course, Thanksgiving in the States is coming up. So this is a time of joy. You got decorations. Unfortunately, as we all know, there's a little bit of weight gain that people have during the holidays. So it's no secret that the holiday season often leaves us with some extra pounds. That's why a lot of the New Year's resolutions are, I'm going to eat healthier and I'm going to eat better. Even though we tend to eat more during this time, it's surprising how those extra inches sneak up on us in January. There's a phenomenon. There's a reason why this exists, and I've never thought of it this way. And now that I know what the food variety effect is, this is fast effect, is a fancy term for a simple concept. The more food options we have, the more we tend to eat without realizing it. See, nature has a clever way of helping us control our appetite. When we keep eating the same flavor or texture for a while, our hunger naturally diminishes and we're satisfied without overindulging. But here's where things get tricky. This mechanism doesn't work as well when we're grazing at buffets, indulging in Thanksgiving feasts, or enjoying Christmas spreads. Jumping between different foods keeps our taste buds and appetites engaged, making it harder to stop eating. This is why even a meal with multiple courses can trick us into consuming more than we intended in a single sitting. So, while the holidays are a time of celebration and feasting, it's essential to be mindful of how our changing food choices can lead to those unexpected post holiday pounds. Quite simply, is back when we were cavemen. Like we've talked about this before, they went and got berries from the bushes and meat from the deer. And that was just what they ate every single day after day. It was rabbit, deer, bear, whatever, berries. And it just never changed. Like they didn't have master chefs. Let's put this little garnish here and this, that. Now we have this like spread of buffet, this and that. It's not just that they were out there hunting and maybe losing weight by hunting and walking around and not eating processed food. Sure, that is a big part of weight gain. But the idea is they didn't have it like day-to-day diet year after year was just what was in the forest.
It was simplified. Your life was simplified. And as I've changed the way that I approach food over the last couple of years, this makes complete sense to me. I, in general, eat about the same foods every day.
Yeah, you
It
mentioned that
doesn't.
when we did that food episode. Go
Yeah.
check out our food episode. I think it's 2 episodes before this one. But you mentioned your shopping was done quickly because you could order the same things.
Yeah, I literally eat within about the same 10 ingredients every day, and I have for a couple years. And I, in general, crave nothing. I used to. I broke those habits or those patterns. But since I have simplified and minimalized the foods that I eat, and I just eat for nutrient density, I just kind of bang for your buck. What's the best food for bang for your buck that I think is? My cravings have completely disappeared, really, for the most part. And so this makes a lot of sense to me and maybe helps me understand as I've simplified my menu day in and day out. I don't graze on foods or snack during the day. And
That's why you have room for dessert, as they say, because it's something different.
Yes.
You're like, oh, I have room for dessert. Well, you do and
Yeah.
you don't. Like, yes, your stomach can keep expanding and stuff more things in there like a balloon with air. But yeah, your taste buds are like, oh, something new, something different. And so, look, food is fun. Yes, celebrations are fun, Christmas and Thanksgiving, family and get-togethers and all that good stuff. But yeah, Jason, what you're doing with your daily diet, like you're saying, and something I'm trying to do better with as well, is you're saying by just eating because you need to live, you're not
Mhm.
looking at food so much as this is a fun pastime. It's just the same way I don't look at sleeping as fun, maybe, or anything else. You're just, I got to sleep because I need to sleep and I should eat because I need to eat.
Right.
But you don't make it
Yeah.
it's not an event every time you make a meal. And you keep it simple. All right, cool. I love that. Jay, you got the next one.
So breaking eye contact could make your brain anxious. You probably heard that people who avoid making eye contact can come across as untrustworthy, but there's more to the story. It turns out that those who can't seem to lock eyes during a conversation are experiencing something quite unusual. Our brains have a shared space for talking, thinking, and maintaining eye contact, and sometimes this leads to a cognitive traffic jam. This insight comes from a small study conducted in Japan, but it suggests that our brains struggle when we try to juggle both focusing on someone's face and coming up with the right words to say. The challenge becomes even more pronounced when the conversation involves unfamiliar or complex phrases. In an attempt to manage the mental overload, the brain tricks us into breaking eye contact, making us feel like we have to avert our gaze. When you're having a conversation with somebody and then you break away not looking at them, you start to go, what is happening with this conversation or with the person that you're talking with? There might be nothing going on, but your brain is starting to panic.
Yeah, I like the idea of the cognitive traffic jam. And we have often said that, oh, he's not like he's looking away, or I've asked them a question, so now they've looked away, and oh, are they
Right.
lying to me? Are they lying to
Yeah.
me? If you think about it, if you were to,
You start
next time
jumping to
you
conclusions, right?
start trying to jump into conclusions, yeah. Next time you have a conversation with somebody, dear listeners, I want you to like stare them in the eyes. I don't want you to break eye contact. That would almost be disconcerting. Like, whoa, dude, why are you like you're grilling me with your eyes? You never look away. So it's
Right.
natural to look away, and sometimes we read too much into it as to they're not avoiding eye contact so much as they're turning away just to look, to think. The brain is just having the time to process. So something I actually do, and I've been told this, is I actually sometimes I'll do this right now. Those who are watching on YouTube, I'll close my eyes. I'll close my eyes to think for a second. It's a way of taking care of that traffic jam. I'm just getting rid of some of the data around my space to collect my thoughts. So
Right. There's a need to take away one of the sensories that we have, which is eyesight, right? We're taking that away in order to be able to recollect our thoughts as we move forward in the conversation. It's almost like a stimulus overload, right?
yeah, like you said there, I like how you said the challenge becomes more pronounced when the conversation involves unfamiliar or complex phrases. So if you're being grilled by police, let's say, or a loved one, or even a boss at work, sometimes we'll look away. It's like, I got to collect my thoughts. I got to make sure I don't. But people that are very good at this sort of stuff, people that are master thinkers, or they're the ones that can hold that eye contact, and like the spy who's being interrogated in a movie, he doesn't break eye contact. He's showing that I'm in complete control of my thoughts and answers. But yeah, it's just natural to look away and don't overthink it, folks. At the end of the day, breaking eye contact is not because the person's untrustworthy. That's just a trick that our brains do to us. We're talking again. These are simple things that play tricks on our brain, and we break eye contact automatically. It's not something that we're doing because we're untrustworthy or we're lying, or it's just our brains can become overloaded, and breaking eye contact is kind of a way of resetting your thoughts. All right. Number 8. Have you ever thought of this, Jay, that can crossed arms actually ease pain? Let me explain. When it comes to relieving pain, we often turn to pills or remedies. But what if I told you that the future of pain relief might involve something as simple as crossing your arms? It might sound a bit strange, but a small study conducted in 2011 suggests it's not as crazy as it sounds. In this study, 20 people agreed to experience a mild laser burn on their hands. Afterward, they crossed their arms to see if this straightforward action could actually reduce the pain in their hand. Surprisingly, the participants reported that their burned hands felt better. And the brainwave measurements from EEG caps supported this. So they weren't just saying that for the scientists, they were being measured. The brainwave measurements of pain in their brain had decreased. It turns out that our brains are used to the left hand feeling things on the left side and the right hand on the right side. So when we cross our arms, it's like a little brain trick. It confuses our brain by making it feel like the injured hand is on the opposite side, leading to decreased awareness of pain. Though this is still a new concept in the world of pain therapy, but the early scientific evidence suggests there might be something to it. So who knows, Jay? Maybe in the future, we'll be using simple arm crossing techniques to help manage pain. I'm a big fan of the Rocky films, for example. And within those films, there's a scene in Rocky 4 where Tony, who's training Rocky and he's fighting Drago, right? And Tony says, "No pain." So he's telling Rocky there's no pain, even though he's got his face caved in by this mountain of a man. But so I wonder if this crossing arms is metaphorically speaking, is what's happening to the fighter. You're almost trying to confuse your brain about the actual pain maybe you should be feeling, but you're not. But this is the actual physical emotion of they burnt the left hand, so you cross your arms. Now your brain's confused because your right hand that's not burnt is on the left side of your body. So your brain's like, that doesn't make sense. And yeah, that's a curious one. What do you think of that one?
I heard a chiropractor talk about this type of strategy. Just pretend you have a pain in your shoulder or whatever, and it's maybe a bit of a frozen shoulder. Right. And then you create on the opposite side, and the very similar as best as you can, you do like a pressure point on the opposite side, creating a feeling of an injury or something equal to the discomfort on. So let's say the right shoulder is hurt, and then you go to the left shoulder, create a feeling of impingement through a pressure point on the left shoulder, that it will take away the pain on the right shoulder. So he's used that
same idea
to help. Same idea. Will that take away the actual problem? No, you still have to resolve the problem. But for pain relief, people take Tylenol or whatever for pain relief for a moment of time, just to have a reprieve from the discomforts. Yeah, I have heard of that. Not in the way that you described it, but a doctor talking about using those strategies to help relieve discomforts. Yeah.
All right, Jay, you got the next one.
Yeah, the left and right confusion we all experience. We've all been there. Someone says turn left and you go right, or you mix up left and right. It's a common mix up that can sometimes lead to serious mistakes, like the two surgeons accidentally removed the wrong kidney, resulting in a tragic outcomes. What's even more unsettling is that when researchers tested various medical professionals, many of them pointed to the wrong eye for surgery. This confusion tends to become more pronounced when there's pressure to make a quick decision. For instance, when you're in the passenger seat directing a driver who's racing down the road, it's easy to say, turn that way, only to find yourself going in the opposite direction. The strange thing is, despite many attempts to understand why this happens, scientists still don't have a clear answer. They do have a hunch, though. It seems that the brain's way of processing left and right is more intricate than just choosing one side or the other. When we try to tell someone else which way to go, or when we need to quickly figure out left from right, it can really mess with their minds, especially when there's no time to stop and think things through carefully. Why is that?
I don't
Seriously,
know.
why?
I don't
Why
know.
something so simple
And we've all experienced it. There's no way you have
all the time?
somebody in the car, you're giving directions. You'll literally say go left here, then go right. What are you doing? I've
Wait,
literally have
and then you go,
experienced that.
and then you say the other left. How
Yeah,
many times
that's
do you
no
say like
joke.
the other left or the other right?
That's right. It's exactly why that saying exists. The fact that you can say
Yes.
your other left, the joke is you chose the wrong side. So I told you to go left, you went right. So then we say go the other left. The reason why everyone knows what that means is because every single human on the planet has experienced the left and right confusion. We've all experienced it. And it shouldn't be that hard. It's just two
No.
sides. You literally have two sides to choose from. But the
Yeah,
mix
it's
up happens.
50-50. It's 50-50.
Yeah, my odds alone should just be reminds me of a great scene in Glory. Remember that movie Glory, the Civil War drama?
Mhm. Mhm.
So they had this Scottish or Irish, whatever regiment guy training the black soldiers who were recruited for the first time in the Civil War history, of course, the great story that is. And this guy is just, he's pretty mean to the troops. So this is back in the day. So this is like really old school basic training, right? So he's getting the troops to march. He's like telling them left and right. And this guy kept messing up his left and his rights. And he asked, like, how many of you don't know your left and your right? And the majority of them put their hands up, whatever it was. And he stomped on the guy that kept messing up. He stomped on his foot. He stomped on his left foot, I think it was. He goes, he stomps on it hard, hurts his foot. He goes, that is your left. He lifts up his foot again to stomp on the other foot. And the guy moves it. He goes, then he says, now you're learning, boyo. I don't know why that scene always kills me, because he's teaching these guys their left and their right feet. But that's that every time I hear of left and right, that scene, that movie kills me.
It's similar to crossing your arms to ease pain if you got a burn on one, and
But your own brain
somehow,
is your own brain's confused by
yeah,
left and right. You do have a left and right brain too, which is a whole other.
that's true. I don't know if that has anything to do with confusing
know.
left and right arms, but or feet or directions, but why we can't figure that out, especially under pressure, it would seem like that'd be like the least of our concerns is to figure it out. It'd be like second nature, right? You would think.
You'd think so. I was able to find the video very quickly. So for that scene I was talking about for the movie Glory, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be able to see it. If not, you can at least hear the dialogue on your podcast app of choice that you're listening to right now. And if you haven't seen this movie, folks, I can't tell you enough. Glory is one of the best films ever made. Truly.
Company! Halt! For God's sake, man, do you not know your right from your left?
No, sir.
How many here do not know right from left? This is your front. This is your rear. This is your right. And this. Now you're learning, boyo. Company! Forward! March! To one.
I almost remembered it pretty good there, didn't I? But he stomped on his right foot, not his left foot first thing. I love that. But now
So you even got it confused.
Yeah, that's right. I got the left and right confused. I forget which foot he stepped on. He stepped on his right foot.
In real time, you can remember.
Fantastic film. Okay. All right. Next one we have is the beauty bias. I really like this one. This one's very interesting. So this is basically how looks or how people look influence our judgments. Now you think, oh, sure, we all get that, but no, there's a little bit more to it. So it might sound a bit superficial, but the truth is that good looks can have a surprising impact on how we perceive people. Studies have shown that attractive individuals tend to get more votes in elections and receive shorter prison sentences. People also tend to see them as more honest, trustworthy, kind, and intelligent. This is why, for example, when people have those court proceedings to get the defendant dressed in a suit or a dress or nice clothes, they're trying to present this individual to the judge and to the jury is not as a cretin. And that's why they do it. We see in TV shows and movies all the time. They try to clean them up for the judge for a reason. Now, that doesn't mean we're all shallow or easily fooled. However, science suggests that our brains are sometimes making a bit of a mistake when it comes to multitasking. There's a part of our brain that's responsible. See, this is where it goes beyond. It's not really your fault. It's just how our brains are designed. This is what I find fascinating. You know what I mean? This is like evolution or a way that brains have worked. So again, there's a part of our brain that's responsible for rating both good looks and good behavior in others. That's normal, right? We do it automatically. You never think to yourself, Jay, you see a person, whether it's a male or female, it doesn't matter. I'm not talking about necessarily sexual attraction. I'm just saying you see a male or female and you think to yourself, your brain automatically says that person's pleasant to look at or they're not. Like you can't help it.
And then there's the saying, don't judge a book by its cover.
Exactly. Where to get into
yeah.
it. So when we see someone with attractive features, our brain tends to assume positive things about their character, even if that might not be entirely true. Interestingly, this brain channel works in reverse too. Sometimes people who may not fit the conventional standards of beauty are still seen as beautiful because of their kind and gracious personalities. So while looks do play a role in our judgments, it's not the whole story, obviously, and our brains can surprise us in how they perceive beauty and character. So this kind of goes, and look, we see it all the time where we see a couple, let's just be honest, we've all seen it. Those who are listening might even be a part of this couple, or they have friends that are this couple. You'll see a couple where one just seems to be quote unquote out of the league of the other, if they're married or been together for a long time. Like, how did this work? Because the reverse is true. They've seen the beauty of the person inside, of their gracious or kind personalities. And so thank goodness that is also an attractive feature, but it's unfortunate or not unfortunate. It's just the way the brains are. We don't get to see those personalities when you first look at somebody. It's the physicalness that we see at first, but then you'll find out maybe those weird couples, what happened was they worked together for a long time, right? So that's how they fell in love, even though they might not look on the same level of looks, but because they worked together or you met through mutual friends, so they knew what their personalities were like. So I just find that very interesting. But again, there's science behind this. It's a study that's been done. Okay, Jay, number 5.
Okay, kids believe birthday parties make them grow up. Children absolutely love their birthday parties. The presents, the cakes, and all the attention make it a fantastic day for them. But here's the cute part. Some kids actually believe that the birthday party itself is responsible for making them older. After talking to children between 4 and 9 years old, researchers found that a few of them thought they wouldn't get any older if they didn't have a birthday party. They even had some interesting ideas, like thinking that older people could turn back time by celebrating their birthdays in reverse. Imagine 8-year-olds celebrating their 79th birthday. It's kind of how adults look for meaning in personal events. Getting older is a big deal, but when you're a kid, the only obvious thing happening is the party. So the younger the child, the more likely they are to think that the birthday celebration is the reason that they've just grown a bit older. To be honest, I'm not sure if I ever felt that way about growing older. I just knew, okay, I'm 9, I'm 10, I'm 11, I'm getting older.
It's hard to say because I don't remember much before my 12th birthday. So it's hard to say because I agree with you, but now that we're both, you're 50, I'm 48, I've never thought this way that I can ever remember. But to be fair, the researchers interviewed 4 to 9-year-olds. So we were never interviewed. But these 4 to 9-year-olds were actually, they equated the party as a way that accelerated their growth. I find that fascinating. So the kids, this is the topic of this episode is the tricks that our brains play on us. So for these young kids, the trick for them was, hey, stop throwing these parties for me, or keep throwing these parties for me because I want to get older. I can't wait till I can drive a car or whatever it might be. But it is a smaller window. So this is a window that doesn't exist for a 25-year-old. It's a child.
Well, you have
window,
kids. You kids around this age. Any conversation or any comments
the
about
youngest are 9-year-old twins. I should just ask them right now. Hey, why do you grow older? Is it because of the birthday party?
or ask them, if we stop giving you a birthday party, will you stay the same age?
Oh, I should just ask that question. Yeah,
be interesting to see what they think, and ask them separate from each other, not when they're together. I hope it's true, because I'm not celebrating many birthdays.
Well, I was going to say, do orphans grow older then? Do they stay babies forever? So the next one, motion sickness, Jason. Do you know why you get motion sickness? And I believe, if I remember correctly, you tell me if I'm wrong, you traveled as a family in the car. Didn't you get sick all the time?
Wasn't
that you?
Single time. Yes.
Yeah.
I still get motion sickness.
Oh,
I can't go on a swing in a park.
Oh, come on. So,
I hate it. If there was something I could change about myself, that would be one of them.
That's fair. No, you're right. It's debilitating to a degree because you can't go on rides or swings or sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate. I'm in the Navy and not currently on a ship now, but I've done lots of sailing, of course. And boy, I tell you, I'm glad I don't get seasick. Now, I've been in some heavy waters and motions of the ocean. There's times where I feel it like, ugh, this is gross. But people get so sick, they're bedridden. Right?
Oh, yeah. That'd be me first 5 minutes.
Yeah. And yeah, absolutely. I believe it. So there's a reason. So ever wondered, Jay, why some people feel sick when they're in a moving vehicle, like a car or a boat? It turns out that our brain has a built-in fear of being poisoned. But sometimes it gets things a bit mixed up, and motion sickness is a prime example of this. Our bodies haven't quite caught up with modern technology. We never evolved yet to deal with the jostling and swaying of vehicles or swings or boats. The main problem is that when we're inside a vehicle, our brain can't decide if we're moving or staying still. Our muscles are mostly at rest, so the brain thinks, hey, we're just sitting here quietly. But inside our ears, there's a special fluid that can sense motion. And when the vehicle moves, it sends a clear message to the brain that our body is on the move. So now this mixed-up information confuses our brain, making it worry that we might have eaten something bad. So our body is not moving. Everything else around us is moving. That liquid in our ears gives a mixed up information to our brain saying, hey, you might have eaten something bad. As a result, the brain triggers the feelings of nausea. And for some people, it can get so bad that they have to stop and throw up. Think about when you eat something bad or food poisoning, what does your body do? It wants to get
rid of it. Yeah.
Defensive mechanism. So your body's trying to get rid of the poison. That's why you're sick. So interestingly, it's still a bit of a mystery why motion sickness affects some people and not others. I think it's just like anything. I don't know like what science has discovered with that, but I would suspect like for me, I've yet to throw up on a ship where I've seen others do it. Like I've seen people do it in front of me.
Right. Yeah.
People throw up in front of me. Why does it affect them and not me? I don't know. And it's not a matter of being like tougher than someone else. It's just, I think just like anything, like people can handle spicy
it is
food more than
it
others,
is weird. I have people that look at me depending on the event, or they're like, oh, you get motion sickness? I'm like, it's like the idea that, oh, you can't eat this hot pepper. I can.
Yeah, we talked about that. Didn't we talk about that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we did. So reference.
It falls under that same. This motion sickness falls under the same role. It's got nothing to do with fortitude or toughness or anything. Your body is just designed the way it is. Some people are prone to headaches when others aren't. Doesn't mean they're
they're better than
like my body just gets. Some people get chronic motion sickness, and so it is what it is.
Yeah, and seriously, like it really is something that does bother me on a personal level, because there are things that I have wanted to fully enjoy, but just couldn't. About a month or so ago, I jumped off a rope swing in Moab, and it was like a few 100-foot free fall drop, and then the rope would catch you, harnessed up, catch you, and then you swing out into the canyon, and then they pull you back up. The jump was fine, and I did it twice. But it was the swinging after the jump that I would not have been able to do it a third time, not because I wouldn't want to jump. It's just that swinging motion just made the whole experience a little less enjoyable than I would have wanted. And it's just unfortunate that I felt queasy the rest of the day. There's nothing I can do.
What I love is I've never heard this explained before, but this is
either of I knew about the liquid equilibrium.
Well, I thought it was equilibrium too, but I think it's according to this study is that your brain thinks you're being poisoned. That's why you feel nauseous. That's interesting. That's the trick. This is the trick your brain is playing on you, is that your brain's like, oh, you're being poisoned. That's why you feel nauseous. That's the nausea.
Yeah.
Anyways, let us know in the comments or emails if our research is wrong about that. All right, Jay, you got the next one.
Why can't we agree on colors like that infamous dress? Remember that viral internet debate about the color of a dress in 2015?
That was 8 years ago? Jeez.
Yeah. Stop having birthdays, Ryan. It won't be
That's
that
true.
long ago.
That's true.
Some saw it as black and blue, while others insisted it was white and gold. And they couldn't agree to save their lives. But here's the thing. Nobody was lying. It was a brain mix-up. When we look at something like that dress, it's all about the light. The light hits our eyes, specifically the retina, and activates the brain's visual areas. This process helps us see the image clearly. Our brain normally tries to filter out the source of the light and focuses on the various light frequencies from the object itself. But in the case of that dress, some brains got a bit confused. When they filtered out the light source and focused more on the surrounding light, probably the lighting in the room or daylight, they saw it as a white and gold. Meanwhile, those who managed to concentrate on the dress itself saw it as blue and black. So it's all about how our brain processes the light and color information, which can lead to some interesting disagreements. I remember the dress, but do you remember what color you saw it as?
Actually, I think I do remember seeing it as white and gold.
I think I did as well.
Now, but what I like about this, and now that it helps scientifically explain, and obviously we all recognize that people are seeing it differently for a reason, but I never really quite understood why. I might have read some of the comments back in the day on Facebook when this was out, but it's just that whatever now you're not deciding how to. Here's the thing: you, the individual, aren't deciding how you're viewing the dress, but some people, it sounds like it just depends where you're. It's weird. It depends where you're grabbing the light source from. So people are looking at the light behind the dress, then it becomes a certain color. But if you're looking at the light from the dress, it becomes a certain color. But you're not thinking that when you're looking at it.
Right, you're just looking at
it. Yes, right. Just automatically. Or you're looking at the picture.
You're collecting all the data
That's
that
right.
you happen to have available in front of you.
And that's another fascinating thing too about color. I love how people were so adamant about it, almost like angrily so. I remember that. Like I never understood that because even I'm not even a scientist, I'm not a doctor, but even I know like people relax. There's a reason why we're seeing it differently. There is a truth in the sense of yes, there is an absolute truth, meaning if you were in the room with the dress, the photo was taken, then you would be able to see the dress as it is. But there's something different when it's on a picture.
Do you recall what the actual dress color was?
The dress was confirmed as a, you ready, Jason? As a royal blue.
That's what I saw.
I thought you said white and gold.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, the dress was actually blue and black, or the royal blue and black. But most people saw it as white and gold.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting. That's very
What's
good.
also fascinating about that is it doesn't matter what a majority of people would view it as. It doesn't change the truth of the reality.
If you were in the room with the dress, it doesn't matter what you think it is. That it's not
Right.
that.
And that extrapolates into a whole variety of our life's experience.
We're going to talk about that at the end.
Oh.
The last example talks just about that very thing. How basically, yes, that you can be tricked, and you can almost form a whole way of living off being tricked, and it's not the truth, or the truth in the matter of it's not like. Boy, what's true to me, yes, that whole dialogue. It's true to me. It's my truth. But yes, it's not existential truth. It's not. I can go out in the rain and say it's sunny out, and you can say I feel like it's sunny. It's true to me that it's sunny, and you're like, well, okay, yes, but it's raining. I understand you want to feel like it's sunny, and I understand the sun makes you feel good, but the reality is you're getting wet and it's raining. Now it's a silly example. You tell, or the person who owns the dress said, look. Regardless of what the internet said, it was blue. And you and I found out that it was blue and not white and gold. Guess what the response was? Okay, it was blue. The owner told me it was blue, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with knowing that my perception was wrong. And I will now say the dress, despite my perception, I recognize the truth. Saying, yeah, it's a blue dress despite my being deceived.
And the other thing regarding our brains being tricked is I think I remembered it as white and gold.
Yeah, I know it's funny. I do too, and I could have been wrong. I can't remember.
I could have been wrong. Maybe I did see it as blue and black.
But that was the image that came in my brain. But you're right. I don't really remember 8 years ago. But the point is, now that I have the truth, basically the owner of the dress is telling me
Right.
this is the color. I can't tell you why the pictures did it the way he did it, but then you go, okay, well, you're the owner
Now
of the
go
dress.
back and look at the pictures with the actual information.
We can see it-
Yeah, I'm sure we can.
yeah.
What I'm saying is, will I now see it as blue and black now that I know that it's blue and black?
I don't think so,
Or will
because I
I
think your brain still dysfunctions as it does. That's the whole point,
Mm.
is you still extrapolate the light source as you do. Unless you were in the
Mm.
room with the dress. I think that's the whole point.
Yeah.
It's the difference between being in the room with the dress or seeing it as a picture. Okay. Fascinating study. We got more, though. Next one. This is trading personal information for cookies. Well, most of us are pretty protective of our personal information, and we don't want it falling into the wrong hands, or really anyone's hands. So we tell our kids, for example, not to accept gifts from strangers, but sometimes adults make these mistakes. So in 2014, something unusual happened at an arts festival in Brooklyn. An artist named Risa Pune offered cookies decorated with the Instagram logo on the cookie, and people couldn't resist this cookie. These trendy cookies at the time could be quote unquote bought with personal details like phone numbers, driver's license information, maiden names, fingerprints, or the last digits of social security numbers. So this is what the people gave as payment. So they didn't give cash.
Right.
So the
right.
artist played an experiment saying, I will give you this cookie, but you have to give me something personal. So even though these are like gold, this information to criminals, the allure of the cookies convinced 380 people to share their private information. So maybe it was an innocent look of the cookies or the friendly artists at the festival booth, but whatever it was, it made people overlook a notice saying that they would share these details with third parties. So they had a notice at the booth. This is a great scientific experiment saying, hey, you want this cool looking cookie? Just give me some information about you. And there was a notice saying, I'm going to share this with people. So the whole experiment aimed to prove a point. It
Right.
showed that while people want their information to be safe, they sometimes don't fully understand the risks of giving away bits of their privacy. This makes them vulnerable to being lured, of course, by something as simple as a frosted cookie. That's the old buy now, pay later. We're all human that way. This also can tie into good looks. For all we know, the artist was very good looking, had a very good personality. This is where people are maybe good at sales, right? You can sell stuff to someone. Like, why did I sign this contract? I don't want this, because you're tricked. I wouldn't normally give this away if the person wasn't good looking or fun to talk to or had a great personality, all those things combined.
I also think this relates to when you go onto web pages now, they go like, you accept
right
the cookies
Literally.
while you visit this web page. For me, or like, I'm going to have an Instagram account or a Facebook account or whatever account it
Yeah.
might be, TikTok. You give away a whole ton of your privacy and
It's all in the contract.
information.
It's all in the
It's
contract.
all in the contract. And in order for us to participate in the social experiment of Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and et cetera,
Yep.
we do give away our privacy. So to
Agreed.
me, it's the same thing. Like
It's the
basically,
frosted cookie. Absolutely.
but it's an Instagram cookie. So it represents every time you go on Instagram. It represents every time you go on Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat. You are giving away your privacy freely
Yeah.
in order to have those experiences.
All right, Jay, you've got the last one.
All right. The God Helmet Experiment, tricking the mind with a fancy hat. In 2018, some researchers decided to play a little trick on people's minds. They had these folks put on skateboarding helmets, and they were told that the wires hanging from these helmets would mess with their brains. They even said that the electrical current from the helmets could give them a spiritual experience. The name of the helmet, God Helmet, added to the mystique, especially for those who were more religious. But here's the twist. The helmet was just a regular helmet. The wires were connected to a device with lights, but it was all for show. There was no real electrical current. The scientists wanted to see if alcohol could make people believe they were having a spiritual experience. So they gathered 193 participants from a music festival in the Netherlands, where there were plenty of folks who had a drink or two. Each person had to wear the helmet for 15 minutes. During that time, they couldn't hear anything and had blindfolds on. The result, it didn't matter if they were sober or had a drink, they all had strange experiences. Some felt like time and space were all messed up, saw things that weren't there, or had strange physical sensations. Some even heard voices or felt like they were floating out of their chairs. What's really interesting is that the folks who believed in spirituality, not necessarily God, had the most intense reactions to the fake helmet. Their faith might have made them more likely to be influenced by suggestions compared to others. So it turns out that a fancy-looking hat and a little bit of imagination can lead to some pretty wild experiences, especially when you believe in it.
This is tricky because this is a scientific experiment, and I'm not surprised by this. These scientists said, hey, guys, put on this helmet, and it's called a God helmet. Basically, it's hooked up to stuff. You might feel a little bit trippy. They give them all this power suggestion, right? They're saying, hey,
Right, yeah.
You're going to experience some things. Don't be surprised. Just let it happen. Let it flow through you, man. Whatever they said, right? So they put it on, and people are like, oh, they got their blindfolds on. And now the power suggestion is just that. Like, I have something on my head that's going to give me an experience. So what happens? To get the experience. This is, I think, quite frankly, how religion works. I think this is exactly how it works. Is the power suggestion. You're going to feel good inside. You're going to see God. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. And you keep pounding that into people's heads. Guess what happens? It happens. People are able to do this for 15 minutes, let alone 15 years of living a certain way, or 1,500 years of people living a certain way. The power of suggestion is, as we know, is a huge influence on our lives. So that's why commercials exist. It's the power of suggestion. It tells your brain this is what you're experiencing, but you're not. Nothing happened to these people, and of course, the people that were,
or this is what you will experience if you eat our Frosted Flakes, or
it's the placebo. It's all ultimately it's the placebo effect to the degree.
I was going to say that it is a placebo. This is
spiritual placebo. Come join us in a prayer circle, and you'll feel something. Okay, I guess I'll feel something good. Now, we shouldn't even be surprised by this, but you can go Google the God helmet. It was a real experience, and it didn't matter if they were sober or not. People had these experiences. I find this fascinating. I'm not saying people can't be good or find goodness in a religion or feeling spiritual. I'm not saying that necessarily, but I'm saying ask yourselves, am I feeling this way because someone told me to? About anything. I find this fascinating, the power of your brain, which is good and bad, meaning you should have positive thoughts. You should want good in your life. You should think positive. That's what they always say. The secret is it starts within you, right? That's the whole secret anyways. That's what the big secret is, that it comes from within. That God, and look, there's some religions, I think is it Hinduism or Buddhism, I should say, one of those that you are God. The God is within you. And if you think about it, then that God helmet is actually proves the point that all your spirituality or all your visions or whatever it is you think you might be feeling about whatever the universe, your existence, it is you. I find that actually more reasonable. I find this makes sense, that yes, you are God, or you are your own self. So whether it's meditation, whether that's private thoughts, or I'm going to have a good day today, I'm going to experience good things today, I'm going to feel something.
Well, you can create power suggestions for yourself.
Yeah.
Hence the idea of mantras.
Yeah, exactly. You can use this power to influence other people for nefarious reasons or for nefarious things. We talked about secret societies in our last episode. This is where this stuff comes from, is you can create an ideology. You can create a systematic way of thinking, whether it's religion or a gang or whatever. And then you tell them, hey, by belonging to this, then you have a sense of self. But the sense of self, I would argue, comes from within. It does not need to come from anything organized.
The powers of suggestions can come from others, or you can create that power of suggestions for yourself, and you choose for yourself what is important, what are your values, understanding what your own value system is, and then creating an environment which helps you live out your personal value systems. You look in the mirror, you say things back to you. Affirmations. So you create affirmations for yourself. Like you were saying, today's going to be a good day. I am going to feel good about my experiences. I want to make sure that I can leave a positive impact on somebody, whether I know them or not. There's also the idea, how do you make heaven on earth? You start with yourself.
Agreed.
You can start with yourself. And
AJ, remember this?
I deserve good things. I am entitled to my share of happiness. I refuse to beat myself up. I am an attractive person. I am fun to be with.
Daily Affirmation with Stuart Smalley. Stuart Smalley is a caring nurturer, a member of several 12-step programs, but not a licensed therapist.
I'm going to do a terrific show today, and I'm going to help people Because I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
It's fantastic. But it's actually true too.
It is true. You could do worse to yourself.
I know.
You definitely could do worse to yourself.
I love that. Anyways, good stuff. Classic Saturday Night Live. All right, Jay. That is the end of our list. Let's just go over really quickly here so people can remember what we're picking. And I think for our picks, I'm going to go with the one that was the least wow factor for me. I think that's the worst. Okay, we got the food variety effect, breaking eye contact, crossed arms, ease pain, and then tied in with that was the left and right confusion that we all experience. The beauty bias. Kids believe in the birthday parties make them grow up. Motion sickness. Why can't we agree on colors? Trading personal information for a cookie. And then the God helmet. It's an easy pick for me. But the fact that children have been asked and they believe it to be true at this young age, that it's the actual party that makes them age. That's my pick.
That's my pick as well.
Okay.
I just don't think that happens as often.
Enough that they don't have a study on it.
Yeah, I know. I guess I don't believe in science. I don't know.
That's what I mean. So I think it's a study like we scoff, but the idea is they've done a study and they've interviewed kids, and that's what they've said. But you have to interview them at that age. You can't do it.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's ironically, it was the biggest surprise, but also the least payoff. Like, for example, a good surprise was the motion sickness. It's our brains thinking we're being poisoned. That's why we get nauseous, to throw up the poison. So I thought that was a big surprise, but it was cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Remember, folks, in front of every silver lining, there's a cloud. And today, for both Jason and I, again, we're on the same page with this one, was kids believe birthday parties make them grow up.